Do you have a loved one who is struggling with addiction? Ever felt like you're walking on eggshells in your own relationship? Constantly trying to fix what you can't control? Like, no matter what you do, nothing ever seems to be enough, and you end up emotionally drained? Welcome to today's episode of Her Energy Unlocked. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the impact of addiction and what it has on women's relationships. We'll explore the common patterns that develop when addiction enters a relationship, the emotional toll it takes on women, and most importantly, practical steps you can take to reclaim your life, your energy, and your confidence. Whether you're supporting a partner, a friend, or trying to just make sense of your own experiences, this episode is designed to give you clarity, insight, and tools to navigate these challenging dynamics. By the end, you'll understand how to protect your mental health, set healthy boundaries, and reconnect with your sense of self, even in the midst of unpredictability. Welcome, Rob Kelly, PhD. Rob was born in Manchester, England, into a family of musicians and began performing on stage at age 9. In his early 20s, he worked as a session musician at legendary Abbey Road Studio in London. Addiction has always been close to Rob, given his family history. Despite his own struggles with alcohol and drugs, he earned a PhD in psychology from the University of Oxford in 1984. Later, addiction led him to a period of homelessness, during which he had a life-changing realization, his aha moment, where he understood that the problem was not the alcohol, but how he thought about it. Dr. Kelly went on to recover from his disease and has made it his own mission to help others with chronic addictions and alcoholics recover. He has worked with over 5,000 individuals, guiding them from desperation into permanent recovery. His personal slogan, "Step out of the disease and into the solution," reflects his philosophy and approach to recovery. Today, Dr. Kelly combines his personal experience and professional expertise to help others navigate addiction, understand the thinking patterns that fuel it, and reclaim control of their own lives. Dr. Kelly provides services via the Rob Kelly Recovery Group. Dr. Kelly, first of all, thank you so much for being on today's episode of Her Energy Unlocked. You are the first male on this show. And I'm really excited to have you on because, and we talked about this prior to hitting record, there's so much when it comes to addiction. And I just interviewed somebody who was going through the addiction process, but there's so many supporting cast members through that journey. And so first, before we get into all of that, welcome to today's show. I really appreciate your time. You are an extremely educated man in this realm of addiction. And I hope my listeners get a lot of insight on how we can support people through this addiction process. But before we get into a lot of that, tell me a little bit about yourself, including your journey within addiction.
So I took my first drink 9 years old in Liverpool, Manchester. Some people might remember the Beatles from that place. I remember as if it was yesterday. I had no idea alcoholism was a thing or it was in the family, but my family is rife with alcoholism. Right there and then at the age of 9, when I took that liquid inside my body, my whole being changed. That's not normal. Most people that age would spit it out and go, oh, that's horrible. Not with me. And this fascinated me. So along the way, things happened. And I spend my days now really active in helping people recover from addiction, depression, PTSD, Alzheimer's, all the stuff to do with sight. And I came out with a program that works. It's a high success rate. I've actually worked with about 11,000 people. So that must be an old thing you're reading.
Oh, I apologize. I'll correct that in your intro.
No. Yeah. Yeah, so having fun, helping people. I've been through a lot with other patients coming through, but it's what I do. I don't get involved in the money side. I don't get involved in all the TV and books. I've never read a book. I've never watched myself on TV. I don't want to buy into that for a second. I do what I do. And I love what I do because we do what we love.
And so much of it probably taps into your own journey. So what was that moment of realization that you yourself, I need to get a hold of this disease that I have? Do you refer to alcoholism as a disease?
I do. And most people might argue with that, but the deep work we've done around the brain is the hypothalamus that's the culprit. Yeah, it's a disease because of that. So alcoholics are born and drug addicts are made. And people will freak out when they hear that. I can explain that during the show if you wish. It's just a different entity. Both show up the same, both devastating, rips families apart for sure, but there is a slight difference with alcohol.
What is the slight difference with alcohol versus you said alcoholics are born and drug addicts are made? What's the slight difference?
So alcoholics are born with three parts of the brain that differ to any other human being. That's the hypothalamus, the basal ganglia, and the amygdala. Now, the hypothalamus is the interesting one. From birth, it tells human beings to drink water, eat food to survive. It's the survival part of the brain. We do it without thinking. It just happens. So what happens with the alcoholics, not heavy drinkers or abusers, there is a difference. With the real alcoholics is sometime during the drinking career, the hypothalamus switches and tells the prefrontal cortex, if you don't drink alcohol, you're going to die. So it hijacks the normal thinking. So we think, well, I'm drinking down my first bottle, where's my second one? Because I'm going to die if I don't drink it. So everything else, children, houses, nothing. And that's what people don't understand. So when the survival part of the brain is telling you to drink alcohol, then the choice whether we do or not is completely taken away, unless that's healed. Drug addiction is the addicted personality. 95% of people that come to us with a drug addiction started in the doctor's office. So they're too slight. Both look the same to the layman eye, both as painful, but there is that slight difference.
If you yourself, maybe, are not with the one with the addiction and there's a loved one in your family, how can you differentiate between supporting them and sometimes we as women and the caregivers in the family end up taking some sort of responsibility? Oh, if my husband wasn't so stressed out, he wouldn't be reverting to drinking. Or if I had talked to him and, showed up in different ways in our relationship, he wouldn't be reverting to drinking. So how do we differentiate between supporting somebody on this journey versus taking responsibility?
Well, the enabling sometimes happens, but ladies, if it's the father or alcoholic or the boyfriend, it's not your fault, first of all. Secondly, a good understanding of what he's going through would be good. Women stay in relationships way too long, especially when there's alcoholism or drug addiction or affairs. They just stay in that because they're more homemakers, so we think they can fix the guy. FYI, you can't fix the guy, okay? So if we have a chronic alcoholic in our care who keeps relapsing, we tell their wife and the children to leave the house. Get your stuff together, leave the house until he moves out, and then you can move back in, because we've seen some devastating, incidents, death, maiming, stabs, and all that crazy stuff, because we do things in a blackout. I stabbed my wife 3 times one night because she won't let me finish my bottle of vodka. I had no idea I'd done that. I fled to Spain and she's in the emergency. I had no idea. So we have to look at, have you done everything you can? Yes. Is it your fault? No. You need to if you have children there, any woman that chooses a man over their children is not worth anything in my book. That's a personal opinion. You got to look after you, look after the children. Myself and Mandy spoke about this, and it's interesting, guys. We tested for PTSD. We tested several housewives in an alcoholic, violent house, and we tested several soldiers coming back from Afghanistan. So they had to see live action, and the PTSD levels were exactly the same. So you're going through your own war in that house. So you're suffering from PTSD. You're suffering from anxiety, walking around on eggshells, going, if it's going to be your last day, what's it going to be like? That isn't a life, girls. It really isn't. You've got to stand up. It's the disease. If it's drug addiction, addictive personality, it's kind of the same thing. But if he's in that state, you can't stop him. Ask him to get help. If not, he needs to move out. And people, well, you can't be so blunt. Says who? I've seen too many deaths in this industry to not be blunt. I saw a magazine article. I was doing something, some big show somewhere, and it said the controversial doctor from England. I ain't controversial, guys. I'm the guy that's going to tell you the truth, because this is a serious matter. You have to look after yourself and your children.
Yeah, and I think I just recorded an episode with somebody who was an addict. And one thing she said is you have to be accountable to yourself. And at the end of the day, if you're in the environment and it is difficult to leave those relationships or have the space, and I get it, financial resources, there's all of that. But I think especially living in North America, there's still some government support services. It's not ideal, but having the realization that to protect my children, I need to leave this situation is a huge step. And it could be hard, but at least it's better than staying in that walking on eggshell moment.
Just let me say something. Guys, it will never get any better. So if you're waiting for it to get better and the big drink binge comes and the next day we're kind of, it will never get better. It's a progressive illness. It will always be worse, never better. So don't wait in a relationship waiting for him to get better. If he doesn't seek help, he's going to die. Do you want to be part of that death? Or do you want to pull yourself away and leave it to him? Because there's nothing you can do.
Because they're not being forced to change, right? That their impact, like you're still, in that relationship. If you're not wanting to change it, especially if you have kids involved. So you talk about the 3 C's in your recovery process. Can you talk a little bit about the 3 C's and how they play in supporting somebody or somebody in the addiction process?
So the definition of stress is the inability to control one's day or life. That's it. I don't understand stress. I don't understand why people get stressed, because it's not as complicated as we think it is. Our life is not as dreadful as we think it is. We think it's going nowhere, and all of a sudden panic. I've never seen a happy outcome in a family home where the father refuses to get help and the wife has stayed. Never.
We talked a little bit about the support services that are offered by your group, and one of the things you had mentioned is that the spouse also has to be a part of that. Why do you think that's important?
A couple of reasons. It's like when you finally get into recovery, we teach you a different language because you have to change the pathways and patterning in the brain before anything can heal. Don't let anybody else tell you different. 30 days in a treatment center, learning about relapse prevention will not cut it. So it's really important that we find out what we're suffering from. Because if you ask anybody on the street, it's like, oh, what's an alcoholic? It's somebody who drinks too much alcohol. Alcohol has 1% to play with alcoholism, and the same with every other addiction. So knowledge is best in this industry.
1% of it is alcohol. What's the other 99%?
Sight is the head, is childhood trauma, which is the gateway drug, it's the basal ganglia, repeating the trauma, the prefrontal cortex, the amygdala, that you've got so much trauma in our past lives. And if you're living with a drinking alcoholic now, that it's all the trauma is sat in the subconscious brain. Now, the subconscious brain, to stop you going insane, stores that very well. But it's there. And if we don't discover, discard of that childhood trauma, what you do today is a direct correlation of what you've been through. And this is what I don't understand. I can't keep a job. I can't keep a girlfriend, childhood trauma. I can't. It all goes back to the suffering. So, for instance, my mum and dad used to drop me off at their friend's house on a Friday while mum and dad went to drink at the pub. They'd go home, sleep it off. Next day, they'd come back and help us. When they dropped us off, I was about 8 or 9 maybe. There was other kids as well that the parents were looking after. As soon as the car left the driveway, we had to play what was called a run around naked game. So we had to all get undressed, all those kids, and the man and woman would chase us around, tickling us. I didn't know that was sexual abuse. I didn't know any of it because they normalized it. So I'm suffering with my intimacy with women for many, many years, not realizing that was the cause of it. So when I went back and we healed that part of it, my sexuality and my intimacy to blossom like crazy because you're not aware it's happening to them. So everybody, I'm sorry, guys, everybody suffers from a childhood trauma. I don't care where you live, $100 million house, it makes no difference. We all suffer because there is no how-to book, parents for dummies. There's no book out there that tells you how to raise a child. So many people are, it must be the parents' fault. No, stop blaming people. This is your deal. If you can't sort yourself out or go and see somebody to do this, then nobody's going to do it for you. That the harsh reality when I was on the streets is I realized that nobody was coming for me. And this was really me abandoned on the streets. What was I going to do about it? And for about a year, I got very comfortable on those streets because there was no responsibility, no mortgage to pay, no looking after the children, all that crazy stuff. I was free from that. But sooner or later, you either get help or you die. There's no, Oh, you can't say that again. Says who? I'm telling you the truth. People die. Hundreds of people die a week from this stuff, and nobody knows. It's not reported correctly. That's for sure. Oh, I'm going now, Mandeep.
No,
I'm going
I
now. Let's
know.
go.
This is so it's it's nice to see somebody be a little bit black and white in this and saying, I'm going to share a couple of things. One, I spoke to somebody who is in addiction or was in addiction. We talked about pain and that the pain is somewhere. The pain, everybody has pain. I have pain, you have pain, no matter how great our childhoods were or weren't, but at some point you have to take accountability for that pain and go through this. And I also spoke to a child therapist, and one thing she said is it's really great people are talking about mental health now, and the reluctancy of people to talk about saying, well, I didn't need mental health services and I turned out fine and my parents abandoned me and I walked 5 kilometers in the snow uphill, all that. But how did that turn out for you? How are you coping as an adult? What are your relationships looking like? And most importantly, I know within our culture, South Asian culture, there is childhood trauma there because of the high rates, and I don't have numbers in front of me, but the high rates of alcoholism within the South Asian community because feelings were never talked about. So that pain goes somewhere else. We all know an uncle who's, drinks himself every night to bed because there's pain there, right? And so when it comes to that and feeling so anxious around people who may be going through, how can you maintain your energy and confidence in showing up and going through that? So you've picked up your stuff, you've left the environment and saying, you know what, this is my boundary now. How do you keep going in that situation, which is, could be difficult. There's family pressure telling you, take him back. He'll be fine now. He won't drink again. How do you maintain that confidence and that belief that, no, I'm going to stick this out, and whether he chooses to get better or not, that's now his journey?
You have to find your identity, guys. We lose our identity in alcoholism, addiction, just by getting married 9 out of 10 times. It's his football club, his team, his friends, his programs. I mean, we just fall into that bracket. I don't think my wife's ever touched the remote control in our house, because she just leaves it up to me. So when we see separations and pulling away, there's no identity. You have no idea who you are. And that's exciting when we can start finding out who you are, not only as a wife or a mom, but who are you? What happened to your dreams? Because when I was young, we used to kick a football around the street and we used to call out, Billy, what are you going to be when you grow up? I want to be a footballer. What about you, Jim? Want to be an actor? What happened to them dreams? They were kicked out of by our family and friends. Don't be so stupid. You can't be a footballer, Robert. What are you dreaming of? You're not good enough. So we fall into that as a kid, but also we lose our dreams in a relationship. Now's the time to get them back. And with good work, good psychological neuroscience work, because we're more neuroscientists here than we are doctors, you can find who you are. And I can, again, categorically tell you guys that you have a life beyond your wildest dreams ahead of you. It's just hard to see right now because you're stuck in this trauma bonding with your partner. And as you come away, loss of identity and trauma. So all of a sudden, the blackmail will start coming from the husband. You'll never find anybody like me. And the wife should be thank God for that.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back into that. I'm learning my lesson now. You can't stop anybody from drinking. And if there's alcohol, there's two things we distinguish alcoholics from abusers. If you abuse alcohol or heavily drink alcohol, stop it. You're too old for that crap. But if you have alcoholism, it's different completely. You have to find out, guys, what you are suffering from. It's not drinking too much. So that pain comes into it. And then everything happens with alcoholics. What happens is their new wife pays the price for their last wife or last girlfriend. So I carry all that trauma over and dump it onto my new wife. And sooner or later, she's going to break because we're not meant to carry trauma around. We're not meant to live on eggshells every day. Life should be rewarding. When you get up in the morning like I do, I love the day. I can't wait. Me and my wife dance in the bathroom. We throw stuff at each other. I'm 64. She's 62. We act like teenagers. I don't care. I don't believe in this. And that's life, guys. Why can't you have that life? So you made a mistake. So you fell into this. You might have known you had alcohol problems, but at the end of the day, you didn't cause it. You can't fix it, but you can leave if need be. And I hate to see anybody leave, by the way, but
Yeah.
safety reasons.
Yeah, safety reasons and being a part of that. And we talked about, if you have children also and exposing them, because that's trauma then they carry growing up, right? And whether or not, they saw their dad drinking. And so I want to talk a little bit about functioning alcoholism or being a functioning alcoholic. Is that even a term like where you can still drink and you're relying on drinking heavily to get you through the day or get you through the week, but you're still adhering and getting to your daily activities? Maybe you're still holding down a job, because I think sometimes we visualize the guy who drinks himself and passes out as the alcoholic. But is there even something like a functioning alcoholic, and how can you support them in getting the help they need?
Well, there is, alcoholics like me started off by drinking Friday, then Friday and Saturday, and then they get married and drinking weekends. But it's progressive. Two questions you ask. Is there alcoholism in your family? When you take the first drink, can you stop? They're the two questions you have to ask anybody who thinks they're suffering. But yeah, I mean, you have to be there for a certain amount of time before you leave. And then functioning alcoholics will always end up in trouble. They always will, because it's more and more and more every time. And eventually they lose the job. Eventually you will leave. And eventually they will lose the house. And eventually you will become homeless if you don't have any supporting family. So I went from my marital house to my parents' house. My parents, after 3 days, kicked me out because I'm smashing guitars and completely in a blackout. And from there, I went to friends, to acquaintances, and to the streets. There's no way out of this. If you suffer from alcoholism, there's no way out. You either get treatment or you die. That's it. So the female, when they come out of that relationship, you have to be smart. You have to, stay away from negativity pertaining. And it's really easy to say and not do, but you have to stay away from that. You can't buy into the fact that your husband is drinking because that used to work in the 20s and 30s. It doesn't work today. It really doesn't. This has to be a 50-50 relationship, guys. If it's a 20-80 relationship, it isn't going to work. And with alcoholics, unfortunately, we are very selfish. So we will take and take and take. Oh, the wife's okay. She'll be still. She'll never leave me. I said that about my wife so many times. After the stabbing incident, when I come back from Spain, she took the children and she left. And I hated that woman for that. But today, it's the smartest thing she could ever do.
With alcoholism, and you want them to get help because you're, waving the red flag and saying, hey, this is affecting our family, this is affecting our kids. And when that person's not making the choice to get help, you almost, as a woman, might feel rejection in that, how come he doesn't love me enough to want to get help? And so when we talk about the emotional trauma that then the women face or the spouse faces, how can they overcome that and get maybe a clearer understanding of, I have to choose myself now?
It will go on for years and years until the partner makes that decision and pulls away. But again, it's looking after you. When's the last time you did something good? What's your daily routine? How are you looking after the church? Who's looking after you? Mrs. Smith, and you find out there's nobody. So you have to get into some sort of community group. So group is healing, like AA and stuff like that. They work because there's a bunch of guys getting together, a bunch of girls, and they're meeting on a solid problem that they have, which is alcohol. So staying on your own in the house, because that's what you used to drink when the hobby was drinking, because, you can't go to any events with him. He's make a fool of himself and you. So you kind of record from any events outside the house, is that you have to start getting active, and there's so many ways you can do that. You need to start stimulating you. You are a great mother. If it's been thrown at you, find anybody like me, that's a lie. And if the alcoholic was sober, he would never say that to you. We say things to our loved ones which are just hateful, downright hateful. So we remember it next day? No. So all that trauma's coming out. And again, you're getting loaded. The wife who's done nothing apart from love the husband and be a great wife and a great mom will get all this stuff, and a human being cannot take that torture.
Yeah, and they carry it. And they might lash out on their own kids or be upset or overwhelmed. So when somebody comes to and wants additional help and they attend your recovery group, and What's the first step? Your spouse finally says, yeah, okay, I'm ready, because you're holding them accountable and you're saying, well, you're not welcome back into this house until at least you're showing me that you're trying. So when you take in somebody, what's the initial step that you have with them?
So, first of all, you have to pass an assessment, meaning you could call 100 treatment centers right now. The first question I ask you is, have you got insurance? If you don't pass our assessment, we will not take you. We turn down thousands and thousands of people. So the assessment comes first to find out if the alcoholic or addict really wants to do this, or is he just doing it for his wife, their daughters, the sons, or whoever in the family has the problem. We want to know, are you coming for you, or are you coming because the wife's giving you a hard time, or mom and dad have a very big checkbook they can give me and I can sort the kid. It doesn't work like that. I can't help them if they're not willing to get help. So if they pass the assessment, we meet with both of them, first of all. So 95% of our work is telehealth. So we have you come on to Zoom and we do it all from there, HIPAA compliant. We have a talk with both of them. Then we find out exactly what's going on. There's also a pattern going on. And then I will deal with him 7 days a week for 1 hour a day for 90 days. And we'll uncover all the great stuff. Every 3 weeks, we'll fly out to you. We'll bring our tools, our 9-dimensional subliminal messaging software, or brain starting software, and work with you. And the wife will work not with me, but with my counselors or coaches, completely different. Now, he is not allowed to mention her, and she's not allowed to mention him. This is going to normal treatment. The family come in every Monday. Well, I'll tell you what Jimmy did. You know, Jimmy's always drinking, and that doesn't help, guys. What about your trauma? Well, I haven't got any trauma, says the wife. It's his disease. He should deal with it. Okay, Mrs. Smith, that's fine. But can you explain why you allow your husband to come on 2 or 3 times a week and physically beat you in front of your 3 children? Explain that to me. And then the tears start, and they're suffering just as bad. Sometimes, if not more, because we're in blackout. We don't feel half of this. And they're left. We walk into our house, we drop a hand grenade, and then we're out again in oblivion in the bed somewhere, and the wife's left to put all these pieces back together again. So, yeah, it's a crazy patterning that we have as human beings, but add alcoholism to that as well. And it is a nightmare. So once they've done that, we let them swim to their own rafts. That's what we tell them. So you're not allowed to mention the spouse. And we pull them in together as they're both healing. So it's a bit like 2 houses. You take this house where the family is, we take the patient out, we stick him in a treatment center for 30 days. Now, recovery has its own language. Let's say the house we got him is English, but the new recovery language is German. And we do nothing here. And after 30 days, we pick the guy back up who's now fluent in German. We stick him back in the English-speaking house. Guess what's going to happen? He's going to start speaking English again, as in he's going to go back to the old traits of violence and drinking. So they both have to heal. Anybody over the age of 18 and the children have to come on board as well. And if all the family come on and work with us, I mean, I think I'm the only person in the world. My wife hates this. I'll give you your money back if it doesn't work. Don't worry about that. There's no 3% in the world that does that. But we're good at what we do, and we're here to you. You become part of our family. Like you'll get Christmas parties and be invited for dinner if you're local, or you're part of our family, because every person that I sign off on assessment to say we can take care of you, I do a couple of things. First of all, I want to look the loved ones in the eyes and tell them that I can fix them. If I can't do that, I'll take them. So I get passionate about this stuff, and I get really passionate. You know, if they do relapse, it's very seldom. I'm up all night crying, worrying, stuff like that, because have I done it wrong? Da, da, da. So we're very loving, very kind, but I'm very aggressive when it comes to the disease. Very aggressive. I'll tell you as it is. If you want to get well, I'm your guy. If you just want to, push something to you, what, I'm not the guy you need to come to. Go find a thing and set someone.
Yeah. It's almost being called out on your bullshit. I call it
we don't negotiate with the disease.
Yeah.
We don't negotiate. We say that all the time to people, I don't dislike you, Johnny. I dislike your disease. And I'm going to fight toe to toe with that disease. It's nothing personal, but I'm not going to lose. So either you're all in or you're all out. And I will say this as well, it freaks people out. I don't care which one it is, Johnny. If you don't want to work, your money's, it's not going to change my lifestyle, Johnny. So are you in or out? Because if you're in, you're my guy. If you're out, go, man. I don't care. Go. And it really shocks people into, because they've always been anything they want, they get. And no, I'm not playing that game. I'm here to save your life. I'm not here to be your best friend. And I need to look your loved ones in the eyes and see that family come together. And I will fight toe to toe every single day until that happens.
I can visualize having Zoom calls and maybe the husband saying, yeah, my wife's making me do this. And I could see you going, okay, well, we're done the conversation now. And he's just what? Wait a minute. Somebody's holding me accountable. Like I have to, like, whoa, wait. Somebody's saying no to me? Wait a minute.
And then they get mad at me, Mandeep. Then they get mad at that doctor. And when they get mad at me, I know I'm winning. There's this very famous guy. Everybody knows him. And his son came in. We got on. I said, hey, how you doing? He went, yeah, only here for repairs. Hey, buddy, goodbye. Put the phone down. And his parent comes, what went wrong? Yeah, he's not my guy. And then the kid gets angry. Who does he think he is? I'll show him. I better do this. And then he gets on again. And, if he's right and ready, it's good. But, our assessment is not playing by the rules, guys. We're not just going to ask you, are you ready for this? We're going to do all sorts of crazy. I'm going to offer you drugs if I need to. And if you say no, you're my guy. If you say yes, you're not ready. And we're not going to waste each other's time here. Yeah, I'm too old for that.
Yeah. If somebody's listening right now and has somebody in their life that is struggling with alcoholism or addiction, what is the one piece of advice you want them to walk away from today's episode?
Start dialogue with them. And if we've done the dialogue and it doesn't work, here's what we do. And this goes back to my parents, is if you're the wife or the mom and dad of somebody who's destroying themselves, there's a number on our website you can call. I have an office. My wife is one of the employees there with another girl that only spend time with loved ones or parents. And they're going to talk to you day and night if you wish, and you're never going to be charged a dime. We're going to get you through and make you understand what he's going through. So maybe the anger will come away from you when you realize this is not what he says isn't true. So we're here for you. You'll never get sold a program. No one's going to sell you anything. We're just here because there was nobody there for my mom and dad. There was nobody there for my ex-wife. And we pride ourselves on that. Sometimes my wife's on the phone to her wife for 8 hours, talking her down, explaining, loving. And you can call her the next day for 8. We don't care. We just want to be here for you. And if you follow direction, it will be okay.
I don't want to use like God's work, right? Because some people may not be religious, but I really feel like you've found your calling, and the impact you are making and your team is making to people's lives is truly admirable. I've really respected your time today. I've learned a lot. And I hope that people who are listening today, we'll put all your information in the show notes. If you need somebody to talk to help you through this process, please do check out the show notes. All the information will be there. And Dr. Kelly, this was absolutely amazing. I appreciate learning about addiction and just sometimes having that black and white answer of what this is and how to overcome it. Remember, you are not responsible for fixing someone else's life. You are responsible for taking care of your own. Oh my God, I'm like caught up emotionally. Sorry, you really struck a chord with me. That's why. Thank you for joining me today on Her Energy Unlocked. Understanding the relationship patterns, the impact of addiction is the first step toward reclaiming your emotional well-being. Give yourself permission to set boundaries, practice self-care, and focus on your own growth. Healing is a journey, and each small step counts. Reflect on what you've learned today and consider what actionable steps you can take this week to reinforce your boundaries and nurture your own mental health. You deserve peace, confidence, and emotional stability. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you subscribe and continue the conversation over on Instagram or TikTok at Her Energy Unlocked Podcast. I cannot wait to hear from you. Until next time, remember, your energy is yours to reclaim, your story is yours to rewrite, and your next chapter is waiting. Dr. Kelly, thank you so much for your time, and I will see you in the next episode. Stay safe, everyone.